And welcome back to FSL, ladies and gentlemen. I think we've sufficiently untilted for the next game. Hopefully, it is
What's
a
good?
less tilting game. I'm Spoots. He's Hungry Casts. Let's get into it.
Yeah, it's the second game, and remember, the winner of this is gonna be moving onward to play against WoW in the best of three finals. So this is, of course, Lannisters versus Winter. Winter coming off a interesting victory
Yeah.
after the previous game. Of course, they were down the whole game up to a miraculous bullet time. Won them this game of a big team fight. So right now we are looking at the picks and bans of Lannister versus Winter. Lannister on the blue, Winter on the red. Olaf banned out, Vladimir and Jace as well for Lannisters. Meanwhile, Winter will be banning out the Zoe as well as Akali. Now remember that Aphelios as well as Mordekaiser was left open. So we will have to see if either one is taken out. But in this case, no, it's going to be the Gangplank.
Yeah, that's the thing with this patch, right? You have so many power picks that you might as well just ban things that you don't want to play against.
Yeah, I feel like it's okay trading power picks. And speaking of power picks, it's going to be Misfortune being picked away from Velasquez, who did have a relatively good showing in the previous game. Do want to emphasize that Lannisters was the previous FSL Thai regional winners, so they did place, I think, third in FSL Elite second season, and they were the Thai representatives. So if they win this, it'll be their second victory as the Thai representatives, and they will be moving on to FSL Elite. Well, if they can make it to the finals, of course.
All right, so Misfortune and Ornn locked in. Both, power picks that they do pretty well. I think Ornn is pretty high pick ban in the previous
Yeah.
day.
The thing, though, is that with Ornn up and Braum available as well, I'm kind of worried if they don't pick away Braum. And we've seen Misfortune Braum actually be a really good bot lane pairing.
Yeah.
Not only is Glacial Fissure, not only does Glacial Fissure have good synergy with your bullet time, it also offers a lot of safety when it comes to laning as well as team fighting.
Okay, but this is a new pick coming in. It's going to be Lucian, which signals to me early aggression.
Yeah.
They want to go in on the Misfortune. So Braum, again, it actually might be a pretty good pick here. You want to peel for your Misfortune, especially in lane, against the threat that Lucian does bring.
You do want to be wary of Lucian Leona, Lucian Nautilus as a bot lane pairing, though, because despite the Braum safety, these are still very dangerous duos that you might not want to play into. And there you go, the Braum being picked up. Right now, this bot lane has been secured. I would argue that it's more safe and stable as compared to other bot lane pairings. But right now, it's the Jarvan that's locked in for Bubby. Remember that she is a I wouldn't say Kayn one trick, but she does favor the Kayn a bit more. But this time going a bit more to something more textbook. Jarvan having the early power, having the early strength to not only take dragons alone, but also impress upon advantages that your team might have.
Yeah, definitely. So we look at the Nautilus hover. It's gonna be either Nautilus Leona. I think you don't want to look for a defensive support when you go for Lucian. So definitely a jump on the AD carry in the early game engage composition in this bot lane for Winter.
This is good though if you are on the blue side with Jarvan, because what you can do now is you can more or less start on the red buff with your team and then do a Crux clear. Just straight up walk to the bot lane at level 2 with red buff Crux clear, and then you can force a flash on Lucian Leona if they play aggressive, right? That way you actually buy some space for MF and Braum to lane safely. It's okay if you lose the top half because you can hit level 3 off a Scouted Crab next, right? So that's one of the cheese things you can do with Jarvan, especially there's literally two junglers you can do this with, Jarvan and Gragas. Level 2 ganks, best in the game, right? Gragas with Predator, Jarvan with Flag and Drag. So these are the things you can do with these early aggressive junglers.
Yeah, we bring up the level 2 cheese engage coming in from Jarvan quite a bit on the broadcast, but I think we haven't actually seen it all that much. But I think this is actually one of the, like you said, best opportunities for that to shine through. Very interested to see whether or not it's going to be pulled out this game or not.
Spubby right now is calling some attention for a team to ban out the junglers, so Elise has been removed. In response to Jarvan, we normally see things like Echo, we normally see Lee Sin, champions that have their fair share of abilities to do a duel out. Of course, Lee Sin isn't something we've seen a lot in the Thai qualifiers, not really a FSL thing, if you will.
Alright, certainly in the previous game, it was close behind Pladio, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, we haven't actually seen Winter show through too much of jungle dragon priority in the form of something that can solo dragon.
Yeah.
So actually, the pool for what they might pick here is actually quite big.
Yeah, but the Orianna is actually something that they are comfortable with.
Yeah.
This is a wombo combo composition. Let's not mistake it, right? This is Ornn blows the horn, everyone else goes in and follows up. Right now, they're actually saving jungle as the last pick to consider, at least factor in, what Lannister have in their lineup. If they are playing more aggressive lanes, you could pick a jungler that covers. Otherwise, you could pick something that has some more space and time to farm.
Definitely. Now we're going to see both solo laners locked in this round for Lannister, which does leave... actually, no, they actually blind pick the Orianna, so
Yeah.
they know exactly what they have to counter pick against.
Still though, Lux into Orianna is kind of a tricky matchup, just in nature of forcing ganks. Remember that Jarvan is one of those, like I said, on-demand CC junglers, right? If Lux lands a Dark Binding, or Light Binding in this case, guaranteed death on Orianna.
Yeah, man, that's going to be an Aatrox,
okay,
however.
that's good.
Ooh, very interesting.
This draft, honestly, very well-rounded if you ask me, because Aatrox is not as, for lack of a better word, cancerous anymore. The sustain is still there, don't get me wrong, but not as bad as back then. You know, back then, or if you trade with Aatrox, there's no way you get a good trade because he just heals up after you're done trading, right? Right now, it's kind of geared towards team fighting a bit more. So when you pop your World Ender and you get a kill, you get a very substantial heal, right? And this team composition actually does excel in creating situations where Aatrox can get resets, can get the heals, because you have a lot of AoE damage, you have a lot of single isolated pick-off potential as well.
Alright.
Xin Zhao.
Okay, my tilt from yesterday is going to come back to haunt me now. I swear if this Xin Zhao pops off, I'm going to eat my word from yesterday. Oh my god.
Problem is that this composition, Xin Zhao, is, I would say, anti-synergy, because Ornn, Orianna, and Leona kind of focus or at least center around getting them in confined space and then landing all your CC together. Xin Zhao does the opposite. With the Crescent Sweep, he knocks everyone away, right? Okay. So I could see that being used as a tool for resetting bad fights. I don't see it in the synergy of working together, right? So of course, you can still have the option to knock Aatrox, Jarvan away. It's whether the team can coordinate, because we saw some mistakes from Winter the previous game, right? When they had Misfortune Janna will use Monsoon first, knocking everyone out, and then Misfortune outs. That's anti-synergy. You don't want to see that this game, right? So they need to coordinate. It's not to say that it's impossible, it's just past evidence has shown us that this team isn't always on the same page.
Okay.
It has to be done this time.
Alright, so if we run down the compositions, I think there is a bit of a possibility for the top lane to actually just explode one way or the other.
Aatrox, dude. Aatrox.
It's Aatrox, but the thing about Aatrox is, you know, in the early game, he actually doesn't have that much damage yet.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the thing with Ornn is that in the early game, he actually deals more damage than you expect now in this patch. So if Aatrox does fall behind, that could be horrible for Lannister. If he pops off, that's gonna be great for Lannister. So there is definitely a possibility for this top lane to go either way, and I think if that happens, the junglers have to come in to the picture here. But otherwise, I think the junglers, they're just gonna look towards bot side once again.
To tie it all back together, we talked about Jarvan having level 2 cheese. Xin Zhao also has a level 2 cheese that's pretty efficient when you go for the EQ start. So you get the knockup, you get the dash, of course. If you start on rip buff, you can actually cheese top lane, blow Aatrox's flash early on, right? So these are sort of the ways you could get early advantages for the onset, the Aatrox behind, and, you know, mitigate the threat that he becomes or turns into in the late game or the mid game, right? That being said, I would like to see both junglers pay a lot more attention to the bot lane, like we talked about in the past. Whenever there's a Leona on your team and you have an aggressive jungler, you should make sure that the opponents in the bot lane never get to play League of Legends.
Yeah.
What I mean is, every time they show up in lane, they overextend, boom, gank them, they're back in base, right? Either you blow their summoner spells early and often, or you just live in the bot lane so they don't get to push up. And Misfortune, despite being a lane bully in this current patch because of her double up, is very mobile. There's very little she can do to get away from Leona and Xin Zhao once they force the gank, once she overextends.
And the thing about Lucian Leona, right, is this is the most volatile bot lane I think you can get in League of Legends right now. Coupled with the Xin Zhao, like you said, they definitely want to get this Lucian hit. So focusing on the bot side looks to be the flavor of the day.
Yeah, definitely. You don't really have to, you know, get Ornn a hit all too much. Ornn is Ornn. Your utility in team fights is still there. Call the Forge God, the knockup, all very good things considered. But bot lane, if you can't get the Lucian a hit, though, I do see some problems, because then your effective power in team fights is very much mitigated when it comes to walking to range. You'll be too afraid of the Aatrox, too afraid of the Lux. You can't really step up.
Yeah, that's against the Misfortune, right? Misfortune, we saw what she can do. We saw in the previous game, just just wipe out the entire team. So if you do not get a hit on this Lucian, it's going to be absolutely devastating for Winter to go into any sort of team fight against Lannister.
Past couple of games, we've seen junglers start on the rip buff and then do full clears along the rip buff side. So I'm not sure if you remember, but the previous game it was Red into Raptors and Krugs for the Red team. Red into Krugs into Raptors for the blue team. Yeah, so overall, it does appear that they do want that level 3 real quick with a full clear on one side and look to make something happen. Adaptation is something I've seen a lot in the Tyre region, so if they can, you know, like we say, adapt to starting with level 2 cheese instead of full clears, it might be a spanner in the works, as it were.
Yeah, but that's the thing, you have to make it work, right? Level 2 cheese, if you don't,
Oh yeah,
If
you
that,
lose
if that
so
game
much
doesn't-
tempo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now we are gonna hit into loading screen. I expect Oriana to go for the Summer Spellbook. She did pick up Barrier. Problem is with this composition, you do want to get Cleanse at some point in time and Teleport as well. Instead, she will have the Summoner Eerie for her Keystone, whereas the rest of the Keystones look pretty standard except for Jarvan's, who has gone for Electrocute instead of the Conqueror. So I like to think of Jarvan builds in two ways. If you go Conqueror, you go for the Cinderhawk because you want the health to stay in combat. If you go for Electrocute though, you go for Warrior build because you want the burst, as much upfront burst as possible. But it's like the Chad Jarvan build, right? You go for Warrior into lethality.
Absolutely. This just signals to me that, Jarvan, like I said, wants to jump in. Possibly level 2 cheese. Electrocute does a lot of work.
Yes.
Especially in the early level. So definitely something we're looking towards building towards the level 2 cheese actually here.
Whereas Hail of Blades for Xin Zhao is actually not uncommon. It's actually the default build now because that way you can land your 3 talent strike very quickly. You get the bonus attack speed within half a second. You can proc the knock up ready.
Again, I think it just the point that we have to bring across is the junglers are the main point we have to look at.
Literally the linchpin for the team because in this particular patch, if the jungler doesn't understand where to path properly, isn't efficient, you lose a lot of tempo and your lanes fall behind very quickly, right? So if you can cover the right lanes, you clear the right camps at the right time, does get your team very well ahead. Now we are in a pause, hoping to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, well, and a good jungler definitely will just break open the game for your team. And we haven't seen the best of performances coming in from Tawan on the side of Winter, but
apart from the Baron steal?
Apart from the Baron steals, but the thing about that is you shouldn't be in that position if you can't help it.
That is true,
so you should try to set it up if you're the jungler for your team.
It's like if your opponents have 4 dragons and you still steal Elder away, like great job, you could steal. But you, as a team and as a jungler, your team shouldn't be in the position of giving away 4 dragons anyway, right? So I completely understand the train of logic behind that.
Alright, so back to the point was that I think Tawan definitely has to step up. I think the entirety of Winter actually has to step up when it comes to objective control. They definitely have to begin setting up better vision control over the dragon and the Baron when they do.
That is adorable. When Braum speeds out of base, he has a little sled of Poros. Jeez.
The best Braum skin.
Best Braum skin, yep. Like the Mafia Braum looks cool because he throws out a money bag, but there ain't no sled Poros, man. I want my Poros on a sled.
Absolutely. Well, actually not sure what they're trying to do here. It's a bit of a interesting start. Braum is actually not allowed to go down there, and they do put down the information ward.
Using the ward there is gonna give them a lot of knowledge about where the Jarvan is gonna be pathing. So Spubby now might want to be careful. Of course, they might not be completely 100% sure of the ward's location. So since Spubby is gonna be heading to the top side, early damage on the Xin Zhao, and they will spot the Xin Zhao top half as well. So both junglers starting on the top half, looking to path down. So in line with what we predicted, bot lane focus. That by the time they path towards the jungle and do a clear, they will end on the bot half.
Yeah, well, this also means not a very big possibility for level 2 cheese coming from the Jarvan.
Yep.
Unless he tries to go top lane, which is
it's okay.
Unlikely to say at least.
Aatrox at level 1 is not the best, doesn't have a lot of damage, but you could force a flash.
Yeah.
Especially because Ornn has no items. So we've seen this before, right, in yesterday's games. You pick up 2 pots and then you wait for 450 gold. You walk into the lane, you build the Doran shield, and now you have an extra pot.
Okay, both junglers actually matching each other pretty well here. I don't think Xin Zhao was actually spotted when he walked down, but Jarvan is going to be spotted now, I believe. Not sure if he was in range, but
there were no pings. Actually, no, not spotted at all. The line of vision was cut off, so making a way to the bot side completely unspotted here. Meanwhile, aggression coming through from these bot laners trading with the piercing light as well as the double up. See, once again, not spotted. So unless she walks over to the Raptors and just nice in time, the ward is going to time out. So Spubby with the 200 IQ play coming in, level 2. Might want to make that cheese gank happen. Oriana stepping up a bit too far forward. Not sure if Light Binding is available though. Counting the amount of minions, it's going to be pushing towards Lannisters though as the time goes by.
Yeah, that was going to be unlikely to say the least. He's actually just going to go path into Xin Zhao's jungle, put down a ward. This is definitely going to spot him out one way or the other.
Yeah, he has to walk around the back though. So eventually we'll spot out the Xin Zhao as she clears out the Grom. Meanwhile, coming in for the bot lane gank, they're trying to land the damage and the CC down, having to flash and the ignite already on top of the Leona. A bit preemptive, you have to think. But this is what we're talking about. Give the bot lane some level 2 action. Force and burn the flash on the Leona so she can't be super hyper aggressive on your AD carry.
Yeah, that was a little preemptive. Definitely could have waited a little longer until Jarvan was actually in a position where he could gank on time, but they're going in.
Zenith Blade coming in. They land a lot of CC down though, but they're in a weird position. Actually, they're the damage already onto Leona. They're flashing forward for the first blood. Velasquez very low, flag and drag in, knocks up the Lucian, and they trade 1-for-1. They're looking for more though as Bubby is in range. Level 3 available now. Flag and drag should be up in a couple of seconds, but slow from the W will dissuade them from chasing forward. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. All summoner spells expanded on the bot half, but guess what? The first blood gold went the way of Velasquez.
Yeah, and the goal does go on to the main carries that you want in the early game. Lucian obviously wants that 1 kill, picking up 2 longswords, but Jarvan actually also feeling pretty good with that 1 kill on the board as well.
Problem is, Misfortune did not get any of the gold from the kill credit, instead only got the assist. Had they picked up another assist, it would have been, a decent matchup because now she's not so far behind. But turns out, double longswords is going to give you a decent advantage as Lucian in the bot lane. So a bit unfortunate that Lucian has the item spike right now.
Yeah, Lucian's actually going to have quite the item advantage for now. Just 2 longswords, but the stats that he gives this early in the game is actually pretty large. Ooh. And keep in mind, MF was not able to back. She was not able to pick up any items. She's going to have biscuits, but that's just going to be a little bit of sustain. This lane is heavily in favor of Lucian right now.
Not sure if you saw, but Observer actually turned off the vision right there. The ward placed by Aatrox on the red buff did not see Xin Zhao walking topside. So playing hyper-aggressive and extending right now with the idea that she's safe might just come back to bite her as Xin Zhao clears up this topside.
Man, these wards are pretty useless today.
Yeah, you could see. There's finally spotting out the Xin Zhao heading to the topside and immediately backing off, and he doesn't want to stick around. Counting the amount of minions, had she not touched it, it would have pushed in favor of Snell towards her, but right now she's getting frozen out.
Alright, pathing down Kirsty with not much mana to speak of, but I think she's just a little too far back in the lane for a successful gank.
She's
pushing though.
She's leaning towards the right as well because she saw Xin Zhao on the top half, so this gives her an idea of at least where the jungler is going to be moving in. Actually landing a lot of damage. The electric coming in means that Kirsty has to flash out. Red buff almost took her down there. Challenging smite. Maybe use the second earlier might have been enough.
Yeah, definitely forcing out the Lux flash is going to be very, very good for the side of Winter. Not actually sure if she's going to expand the teleport, but his Lux is fine free if she uses it. This is what I like to see though. What I want to look at is whether or not either of these junglers actually prioritize going towards that dragon, because again, dragon's very impactful, but some of these teams haven't really been prioritizing it that much, and if one of these junglers do and the other doesn't, there's going to be a significant mismatch.
The question is always, if my enemy jungler takes dragon, what can I get in return, right? Am I going to be able to get 3 plates for my solo laners? Am I going to be able to get a double kill on bot lane? That kind of thing. And if you can't make any trades, well, obviously it's a free dragon, and we don't use that term loosely, right? It's an advantage over, there's no cost, there's no opportunity cost. Both teams now, though, moving towards the bot side. And when I say both teams, it's the junglers that are focusing their attention towards the bot lanes.
Yeah, the lane here is actually in pretty even state. Bobby is gonna hang around the back there. I'm not actually sure if they're gonna go in. I don't think there's much of an opportunity. It is gonna actually start pushing in favor of Winter though, so Bobby definitely can come back and revisit it sometime soon. Look at Xin Zhao though, he's actually gonna path down for a lane gang.
There are no wards to spot out Xin Zhao roaming in, so this might be very tricky, like you mentioned, the lane gang coming in, but Bubby might get baited into this. This might be actually a really, really bad situation. She might read the wave and say, oh, it's pushing in so I can gank. But good moves from Tawan actually, very cerebral, understanding that you need to cover this lane. Yeah. The lane is pushing, you need to sit there just in case Bubby forces the gank.
Alright, I don't think they're going to start this up, just going to clear out the control ward. I don't think they have any information on where the Jarvan was earlier pathing around. Now they're going to spot him out on the Raptors though, so they know that Jarvan is around this bot side. They know that if they go for this dragon, it's definitely going to be contested.
I need to back off. I think Misfortune has picked up the BF sword here with 53 CS. Yep. We'll get a BF sword, get a long sword as well. So unless Velasquez bases here and gets a next buy, she's going to be at an item deficit. And it makes it very tricky to trade, especially with level 6 around the corner. That BF sword is going to do wonders in these fights.
Alright, taking a look towards the top side. We haven't really been paying attention to these to this matchup. I mean, there's
very
no
little to
reason
talk about.
It's gonna be a wet noodle fight until Lucian Aatrox gets items, but they are gonna start up the dragon towards the bot side as Bubby is top now.
So once it goes off, alarm bells need to start ringing, right? So Bubby right now, she's thinking, okay, we've given away the dragon for free. What can I get in return?
Scuttle Crab.
We'll get Scuttle Crab here. We'll see the control ward. We'll get control of the top half of the map with this. So ostensibly, this is space and pressure for Adney.
Yeah.
You have complete information of the river, so river ganks are not possible. All you have to do is keep the tri-brush warded. Meanwhile, unfortunate, but blue buff did go the way of the jungler instead of Orianna, who has a lost chapter. So not the worst thing in the world.
He's actually going to go for the Rift Herald. It's
not a bad trade.
Pretty good if it gets it this early on. Can trade it for a lot of turret plates. Maybe even a turret.
I need to mention that 10.1 Rift Herald is actually quite hardy to say the least. It takes quite a while to defeat her. Most people take at least 45 seconds to a minute, and this is tempo loss, right?
Yeah.
You need to translate Rift Herald into turret or at least turret plates, and this is difficult. It's at 1.8 now. There's no prio coming in from the Lux or the Aatrox just yet. They have to walk over. They have to support this. Otherwise, the contest might be coming in. Smite it away. Not really in a right space to get the Rift Herald just yet. A great bind on the backline. Sinja already falling very low. Here comes Call of the Forge God, completely whiffing the shockwave, only catching one. Flashes all across the board. It's going to be Leona and Orianna that gets out. Light binding once more. Not finding its target. Remember that the final spark is available, but they will find a kill on Tawan, who overcommitted there. A great binding coming in from Kirsty in the nick of time.
Yeah, that's jungler for jungler, but crucially, they do pick up the Rift Herald on the side of Lannister, so that is going to be, you know what, we're going to look forward to in the next few minutes, where they're going to put it down, where they're going to find that advantage. They have about 4 minutes to work with until turret plating is going to disappear, so that's the significant window for them to put it down.
Right now, though, if they push in and look to activate the Rift Herald in mid or top, that is a commitment from Lannister. That's saying, okay, I want to get this lane ahead. I want to give the bonus turret plate go over to this particular solo laner. So Bubby, though, moving over to the bot side. Not sure if she wants to commit the Rift Herald to that lane. She could just force a gank with her level 6. Cataclysm isn't up just yet. And then activate the Rift Herald soon after, though.
Alright, going in.
Going in. World Ender is not available, so this should be an easy pickup. Tawan gets the kill credit, and right now they're chasing into the bot lane. Flag and Drag not in range, but the bullet time is available. They don't even need it to get the kill at this point. So Bubby comes in with the assist, gives the kill over to Diglett, which isn't the best. It's still gold going the way of Lannister.
Yeah, gold is gold, and they're gonna put down the Rift Herald, so this is gonna be several turret plates being lost. There's nobody here to back it up, so they actually might even just get the turret.
The commitment is made. Bot lane is where the Rift Herald will go, and getting the turret might just be the cherry on top of the sundae from this gank.
Look, the turret's pretty tanky right now, so I actually don't think they're gonna get it. The minions are gonna disappear before they're gonna get 4 out of 5 turret plating, so that is still significant gold going into the side of Lannister.
They are still committing. There are quite a few ranged minions here, but with the Leona arriving back in bot lane, I don't think they can stick around anymore.
Yeah, fortunately for Lannister, Velasquez had no mana, so they actually couldn't go in. Whoa. Okay.
Kirsty might have to be careful here. The shockwave inches away. Could have been a horrible situation had that caught her. Orianna, though, looking like she's on the worst end of this trade here after getting caught by the Light Binding and Final Spark.
Yep, Orianna definitely in a difficult position right now. Is being forced to back, not enough health to continue staying in this lane, and Tawan has been standing around the mid lane for quite a bit, waiting for a gank. Unfortunately, just not been happening lately.
I love that, you know, as Lux... Oh, Kirsty. Just as we give her praise, she's going to get caught out. Great Light Binding, though, to get out of range. Flashes out. Tawan with no flash will mean that this gank comes to a premature end. I was about to praise her, and then, you know, she gets caught. But I love that she's playing towards the bot half of the mid lane, because she knows that her strength is in having Jarvan in bot lane, having the MF and Braum play forward. So just in case anything happens, she runs down the river, right? Over there, she committed past the river, can't be helped, get caught, and has to burn flash.
Yeah, that's the second time we've seen her burn flash thanks to a gank from Xin Zhao, right? I think if you really want to gank this lane, you really want to get Orianna hit, which I think is actually quite a good win condition. We want to see Tawan beginning to commit a little bit more, especially in this 5-minute window, where Lux does not, again, have flash.
As a jungler, you need to regank lanes without flash, but whoa, my goodness, once more into the bot lane is Bubby. They did not really make anything happen right there. I think just forcing them off, and they will open the map on the bot half. Remember that Dragon is going to be spawning soon in 15 seconds. It's going to be Inferno, and both teams, eyes on the prize, want this.
Yeah, and they definitely do get a significant advantage now over the Lucian. They get all 5 turret platings as well as 2 assists on the MF right now, as well as a small minion advantage. So gold advantage coming in from MF, but she is at a item deficit right now.
Now, ultimates available for both teams. Everything is completely off cooldown, so this might be an extremely chaotic fight if it breaks out. We tend to allude to the idea of these small choke points in Dragon and Baron Pit, where if you commit into the pit, it's always dangerous because these massive AoE ultimates like Solar Flare, like Glacial Fissure, trap you and control the space so well. Which is...
Actually, take it back. Miss Fortune should not be at too much of a disadvantage right now. Should be able to pump out enough damage. If a fight goes on, it looks like they're committing.
Committing in, using the Glacial Fissure, knocking everyone up. A great Crescent Sweep, though, will split this fight. But they've committed a bit too deep, and here comes the Aatrox as well to clean up. Snell doing a lot of damage. It's a 2-for-2 for now. Make that a 3-for-2. Off the backline, running away is going to be Velasquez, the last member alive for her team, using the Cutlass to slow down Annie. Just barely getting out of range from the Darkened Blade, and a bit late on the teleport was Snell. The AoE CC and AoE damage was good.
Yeah, that was a very messy fight.
Oh, the snipe, baby!
Oh man, that's very unfortunate for Velasquez. I mean, 1-2 and 2 right now is gonna limp back to base without much in the way of profit.
Inferno Dragon picked up by Annie here. This is 1 dragon apiece. With a 3,000 gold lead, Lannister looking pretty happy. The next dragon is going to be Mountain. I say next, the next and ensuing dragons are going to be Mountains.
Alright, Kirsty actually going to spot out square here. Okay, not much going for that. I do believe the next Rift Herald is going to be spawning shortly.
Yep.
Okay, so that's another...
Sub 30 seconds.
Yep, that's another objective. They can go contest for...
The one thing about this patch you have to remember is that advantages roll.
Yeah.
What I mean when I say that is because remember Spubby got the early Rift Herald, she popped in bot, consistently reganked the lane. Because of that, a lot of the gold was artificially accelerated in favor of Miss Fortune, who has the Essence Reaver right now. When the next Rift Herald comes up, we saw what happened in that teamfight around Dragon. If they can control the next teamfight around Rift Herald, it snowballs again. They win the fight, they get Rift Herald, they take more towers.
Yeah.
So advantages snowball into advantages in 10.1. Whether the team can execute and make full use of that is the question that's up in the air. But according to textbook technical play, that's how you should be playing it.
Yeah, we do see a lot of members coming around that top side. They are actually going to go for a gank right now.
More ender pop by Annie. They're looking to get into range. Where are they going to isolate first? They're split their attention off the back. There is Tawan using the Crescent Street to split everyone up. A lot of damage. Double kill already picked up by Annie. Slams the sword down. Looking for the triple. Will get it. And like I say, advantages into advantages. This is going to be the Rift Herald for Lannisters right now as the teleport comes through from Christie to clear out the mid lane.
And this is the clean decisiveness in team fights that we love to see coming in from Lannister, right? Anthony right now doing phenomenally 5-1 and 2 on this Aatrox. This is definitely the shining light for a team looking towards her to carry in the next few fights.
Meanwhile, solo kill coming in the mid lane. Flash and barrier available but not used at all. Christie 3-0 and 4 now. The score line for this mid laner is actually pretty impressive. And that's to say, if you remember clearly, she had a very good RE game yesterday as well.
Yeah.
Push her team forward into the tournament, propel them further into the lower bracket. Lannisters looking to make a statement in this lower bracket round 3. Roro indeed. Don't check this, buddy. Blending the Inferno Chains, the damage coming through, and the knockup as well. It's going to be Christie that gets the first kill. Now second to go down might just be the Leona as she gets over to the Blasco, but the laser to the face says not today. Double kill for Christie.
Yeah, and yesterday we had sort of identified the weakness that Lannister do show sometimes against WoW was, playing macro. But if you play Lannister's game, if you try to look for these 5v5 team fights, if you group up as 5 and go into the jungle, they're definitely the ones with the advantage.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. You pop the Rift Herald, you take the turret first so you don't waste any health in a minute charge. Right now, a full health Rift Herald is going to be able to claim mid-tier 2 as well. So opening up the map in a massive way right now is Lannisters.
Yeah, for sure. Very difficult for Winter to come and, sort of answer this. So even if you try to play macro right now, your significant objective disadvantage is going to be very difficult for you even to pivot to that. So honestly, right now the map is just for is Lannisters to play with.
504, Christie picking up a double kill earlier. Will be moving towards a Banshee's Veil in terms of itemization, whereas Annie was pretty fed early on. We can't say that. Oh, hold on. Final spark to clear the wave, but not enough damage.
Uh-oh.
Will manage to nick someone with the light binding though. Look at the CC, the AoE coming in. Call of the Forge God might not be enough. A great block by the Braum, and they should be able to clean up here. They find 2 kills in the mid lane out of nowhere, just pulling the trigger with the Cataclysm. Meanwhile, teleporting onto the top side, a solo Orianna might not have much hope here as Atney fails to land the first chain, fails to land the first Q, the second Q kind of away from, but the third one in melee range might just be enough. Atney now looking to get into range once more. The kite though from Orianna is pretty decent, and nope, moving away, the last auto, and the Summoner Aerie. A game of inches, but the Orianna comes out ahead.
Yeah, the macro coming from the Orianna, sidestepping so many skill shots from the Aatrox, absolutely crucial in getting that kill. And, you know, Aatrox expended the flash for this.
Yeah.
No, the
Teleport
for that, and I'm actually not sure what that was.
This far hit, having some fun isn't completely out of the question. I could see that, you know, overconfidence, as it were. 30 seconds for the next dragon to come up. Look at the control right now inside the jungle. They've already used the Scryer's Bloom to get information of the control ward there, and now they're going to clean out all the vision, put out wards of their own, and lie in wait.
Yeah, Lannister sort of identifying that Winter have a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to, you know, putting down wards around objectives. So they are
safely checking vision as well. It's so difficult for them to safely check vision. Oh,
well, that's an advantage of. That's an example of that.
Yeah. Right now, though, all 5 members of Lannisters are around this area. Oh, the light binding actually nicking Tawan. Very low on health already. They're chasing forward, having to flash away from the Inferno chains. And he actually landing all the CC that was required right there. And there, double bind actually catches multiple members right off the back lines. Now, first of all, now they have to be careful because the Shockwave is going to eviscerate the back line. Friend just barely getting out. Misfortune living with a sliver of health. But with the bullet time, she's going to pay back double as the damage comes through. They won't manage to clean up 3 members here. Jumping across, Annie looking for more. They're looking to cut off the escape. Kirsty now running into the mid lane to control the wave as well. Flashing in. Burns double flashes actually. Or a single one rather, coming in from the Orianna.
Kirsty on this Lux is looking very, very spooky. I mean, she's hitting all of these skill shots that she has to be hitting. And honestly, it's just turning a lot of these fights in favor of Lannister. She's trying.
She's trying.
Alright, well, next significant objective is going to be the Baron. One thing I want to point out, though, is that Winter has been taking a lot of fights that they shouldn't have in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
I think...
no reason to fight the dragon there, right?
Yeah. It's not even that. I think the other example was the fight before when they were in mid lane and they could have just backed up. The turret was in range, they could have just walked under the turret and they were safe. But no, instead they go for, I believe it was the jungler, and they get collapsed on in a very narrow choke. That is not something that you should be doing, and it's just a great example of, I think, Winter's decisiveness when it comes to taking fights. Decision making, rather.
Yeah, a bit poor at certain points. You have to call that into question when they are this far behind, 7k gold, and move up this far forward. Now probably going to get caught out is the Leona here. Final spark, jumps over the wall with the blast cone, but not enough health to get away safely. They pick up the support, they manage to clear out the vision here as well. Is this the call to start the Baron though? Because remember, Misfortune is kind of bad at taking objectives. A single target damage isn't something like a Kai'Sa, isn't something like a Lucian, so it might be a bit tricky for them to finish this off. Although repeated shields from the Prismatic Barrier on Lux might make this a lot easier. Inside the pit against Ornn, against Orianna, it's still a danger zone.
Yeah, it's gonna be... You can see he's falling very slowly. They're gonna go in though.
All the Forge got blocked away by the Unbreakable. They're looking to take this fight. A great Final Spark will not land though. Cataclysm on the back line. The Shockwave catching 2 members. More than enough damage as the bullet time comes through. They're ripping everyone apart. Tawan now might just be the next to go down off the back line. Edney is just healing up and ripping everyone to shreds.
Look at Friend.
Friend just left untouched. Edney having the time of her life, getting the resets, getting the speed boost. Velasquez, the last member alive, will walk away, but will not make it out alive.
Yeah, Annie in the front line doing a lot of work, just making sure that Winter was completely disjointed and no way of, you know, fighting back. And Fred playing the team fight extremely well, always in the back line, always pumping out consistent damage, completely untouched. This team is amazing at team fights.
Team fighting extraordinaires are Lannisters, and right now they're moving into the base. They're getting Next, the inhibitor turrets, not really in a position to take the inhibitors. But remember in the pregame we were talking about how Aatrox not as much of a cancer champion anymore.
Yeah.
The healing though is still pretty ridiculous when you can find the resets on the World Ender.
Yeah, especially when you have Dev's Duds and you're this far ahead. It's just, if you can get your skill shots, nothing is going to kill you.
Problem is, there's so much residual collateral damage coming in. No one is actually actively targeting people. All they're doing is just throwing out bullet time, throwing out final spark. Whoever gets caught is fine.
Yeah.
They're low enough, Aatrox will just run them down.
The one thing that we have to take note, one thing that Winter can do to change the tides of these fights is, you know, again, Orianna's Shockwave. I think we've seen it a couple times, catching out the Misfortune and doing quite a bit of damage. So if she's able to land these skill shots, I think it's gonna be not easy, but possible for them to come back.
It gives them a fighting chance.
Yeah.
I think as long as you don't call off the Forge God unnecessarily. Hold on, getting caught here by the Light Binding and the Final Spark as well. There's actually good damage from Spubby here. 2, 3, and 20. The jungler for Lannister has been doing a lot of work for her team. Pings onto the Baron once more as they force Snell away in the top side with the flash.
Yeah, they force on away, right? At this point, you're not really committing to the Baron. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to bait people in for a fight.
Like we said, there's no real safe way for them to check vision, so the moment they walk up, there is a space for them to attack, and right now Baron is down to 3,000, having to disengage though. They're focusing on the Xin Zhao first to deny any opportunity of a steal. Call of the Forge God actually goes through, but they will find a kill on the Xin Zhao. Now backing off, using the culling to cover their retreat. Snell has no ultimate anymore. We'll have to see if Solar Flare can do anything together with the Shockwave.
Yeah, again, Winter with these disjointed decisions that they're making in these team fights, just really playing into Lannister's hands. I mean, then again, they are in a lose-lose scenario. They don't contest, they lose the Baron. They do contest, Lannisters know they're just going to turn, they're just going to kill everyone.
And they have so many good ways to turn as well. They can use Jarvan, they can use the Braum Glacial Fissure. If they pick someone with a Light Binding, which Christie has been amazing at using, so many ways to start fights. Like we mentioned again, you know, or like we talked about earlier, there's no good way for them to check vision. They can't really walk up and throw a spell down and say, okay, we know that they're starting Baron, right? It's not like a Jarvan E. It's not like a Lux E as well, you know?
Definitely. Look, another advantage of having, you know, so much vision at the Baron is that you know that Winter are around the vicinity, which gives you free reign to actually just pop down here and take the dragon, knowing that your enemy, they're not actually contesting the Baron.
Good news though is Winter are showing some sort of restraint and temperance. They understand, okay, there's no reason for us to fight for this dragon. Third is not the breakpoint. Fourth is the breakpoint. Elder is the breakpoint. Let's back off. Let's defend our base. Let's buy some space and see if we can teamfight from there. Because if we're checking into Fog of War, we've seen how that happens, how that works out, right?
Yeah, definitely. They do absolutely have to buy a bit of space. It's about a, what, 9k gold advantage for the side of Lannister right now. Extremely significant. I don't think Winter is going to find any sort of good fight in the next few minutes at least.
Yeah, the winner of, or at least the Thai representatives of FSL Season 2 come in super strong this time with a new addition to their roster, not to neglect that Spubby has moved over. She is now the jungler and perhaps calling the shots for her team as well.
And here's the question, right? In the bigger picture, right, we're not really seeing Lannister being tested macro-wise. We're not sure whether or not they adapted from the previous day. And the fact of the matter is that WoW is the team that beat them yesterday. And WoW is a team that plays macro pretty well.
They're like the final boss.
Yeah, so okay.
Great knock-up, great final spark using the Cataclysm. Shockwave actually completely whiffing. And here comes the bullet time. They're walking into it and they're getting shredded. Friend finds the first kill here and they're just walking it into base. A bit of an over-aggressive position coming in from Orianna, having to burn all her summoner spells and getting killed still. Meanwhile, Adney is just rushing forward, the culling being used by Velasquez to retreat back. But they will get an inhibitor, they will turn their attention over to the bot side.
Yeah, this is just a lot of elements of Winter's base going towards the side of Lannister. Not much they can really do in the way of defending that. I mean, you're already at a player disadvantage. You're at significant goal disadvantage. Lannister, they can just walk in, they can take whatever they want, and you can't do anything to stop them.
Being a bit tricky there, Kirsty had the final spark available, was fishing for a pick, but unable to find it because the Light Binding did not connect. Right now, they're moving over to the Baron. They're not attempting it, they're just threatening the Baron. They're clearing the vision out saying, if you guys check this, we will kill you, so be very careful about how you approach us.
Yep, and now they're going to go back to reset. And Remember, they have a lot of gold in their pockets right now.
Buddy, you say reset. They're walking over to starting Baron up.
Wait, what? Oh, I thought they were backing.
No,
Okay.
they started it down to 10k, 11k rather, as it's slowly but surely falling. But look at the back line. Aatrox is coming in with the flank, and he is a monster, and we'll have to see where the attention goes. Orianna already falling very low. The Shockwave pulling Kirsty in, and that's not what you want. Meanwhile, around the Baron pit, it's going to be Tawanda falls as well. So 2 members down already. The mid lane and the jungler, possibly 3 here, as Leona gets knocked up. CC coming through, Call of the Forge God might be blocked here. Doesn't even matter because they find the 3rd kill inside the base, and now they're looking to close this out.
And this is what Mental Boom looks like. Right?
Oh,
you
yeah.
can see how disjointed Winter is. They have no idea what's hitting them. I mean, Aatrox teleporting into the backline right there, right then. No one's going to see that coming. It's just amazing decision making, amazing team fighting coming in from Lannister, almost picking up the Lucian, but that would have just been the cherry on top of this win.
Yeah, the win coming through in an amazingly delicate fashion, manufactured in place by the eloquence that is Lannister right now, finding a double life binding, probably looking for the kills before they close out the game. Legendary is friend, and guess what? It all fell into place perfectly for Lannisters, and now they're advancing into the lower bracket finals.
Ooh, there's not much to say for that fight. I mean, you look at the scorelines, right? So many of Lux and MF, they have no deaths. It's just wow.
I think the game plan was very apparent when we saw, or at least executed well, when we saw Spubby move over to the Rift Herald, because, you know, the earlier statement of advantages rolling into advantages, right, has not rung truer than this game. The moment they got Rift Herald, they committed. And I said, the lane they commit the Rift Herald to is the one that they have to power forward with. They chose bot lane. Fine. You consistently regank bot lane, get the turrets down, and then transition to top to get 2nd Rift Herald and just win from then on. The damage on the charts right now on your screen speaks for itself. Annie cleaning up fights, Kirsty landing light bindings like no tomorrow, and MF happily sits in the back and presses R.
Whew, well, that was an absolute masterclass in, you know, team fighting coming in from Lannister. But for now, I think we're going to go for a break. When we come back, we're going to have, I believe, the finals?
Yeah, it's going to be the lower bracket finals, I believe. Or excuse me, rather, the winner finals. This was the lower bracket finals. This is the winner upper bracket finals now coming through. It's going to be a best of 3, actually, between Team WoW as well as Lannisters. The latter themselves looking to make, or at least vie for championship slot and represent Thailand for the 2nd time, while a completely new newcomer to the FSL circuit is hoping to upset their dreams. But for now, guys, as Spoots has said, we're going to go for a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.